Hello, and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019. My name is Kim Clark Baskin, and I'm your Deputy City Clerk. With us today, we have our sign language interpreter, Emily Pearson. Due to the unfortunate passing of City of Pittsburgh Police Officer Calvin Hall, City Council will hold both of their meetings on Wednesday, July 24th at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Please join us in sending your deepest and warmest sympathies to Officer Hall's family, friends, and the entire city of Pittsburgh. Thank you. Hello, and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council's Standing Committees meeting for Wednesday, July 24th, 2019. My name is Kim Clark Baskin, and I'm your Deputy City Clerk. With us today, we have our sign language interpreter, Emily Pearson. Due to the length of the agenda for today's Standing Committees meeting, you can go to the Legislative Information Center on City Council's website at pittsburghpa.gov to view all legislation up for preliminary approval. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Have a wonderful day.
Good afternoon and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council Standing Committee meeting of Wednesday, July 4th, 2019. First order of business, public comment. Members of the public, please come before council. You'll be giving 3 minutes. The green light means the beginning of 3 minutes. Yellow light means 1 minute to summarize. Red light means your time has expired. Please relinquish the podium. I'd like to remind everyone the rules of council state the comment is limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before council. Profanity will not be permitted. Order will be maintained at all times. First speaker, please. Good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon, Mrs. Brown.
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live in the Hill District. And I wanted to start off first because there was a meeting this morning, and I also said that I wanted to start off to the Hall family, that's the police officer who got killed, that we feel your loss. We can't feel your pain, but we feel your loss. And then I live in the building Kaylee Irvis had built. There's 190 seniors that live in the building. We have a janitor named Jonathan Cooper. His young son, youth, he killed himself. So to the family and friends and to his family, to John, the father, we at Kaylee Irvis, we feel your loss, and we love you. Only God can give you an answer. So pray and ask him to do what he can. Now, I have a real serious problem with me coming down here yesterday because I didn't know. When I talked to Bob with the Tribune Review, he explained to me that you had put it on the website. Did you hear? I live in a building of 190 senior citizens. Not all of us have computers. But when I can listen on the radio and they can say that the meeting at City Council, there were only 2 out of 9. If they can tell us there's only 2 out of 9 about City Council, then you should be able to tell us that you've canceled it. I have nothing wrong with you canceling the thing, but let us know. The seniors don't know because you start a half an hour late sometimes, they turn it off. I have another thing I want to say. I was saying this morning. The man told me about 2 raccoons in the garbage can, babies, they couldn't get out. He said when you look down here, they was holding on to each other. Anytime he told anybody that, it seemed like it pulled the strings of their heart. 2 babies holding on, they're scared, they can't get out. But when I hear the president and the vice president of this United States talk about the babies, them little dark babies, because they're of color, that's the only reason why. They're walking around with poop all on them. They take a baby from a mother, 4 months, they feed their babies That's where they get their life from. They take a baby at 4 months. Some of them babies will not eat anything else. They will not. So their babies may die. And you have your United States talking about that they wasn't that bad. You know, you don't treat your dogs. Because you remember here, I was going to speak. The dogs was outside. They couldn't find nowhere to park a whole half an hour. We waited for the dogs. Because they made them, they put the dogs before the people. Do you understand? The same way with the police dogs. God did not put a dog as a human being, because you've made that police dog a human being, and you've taught him just to bite black people. Understand that. You know a white man killed him. We would never be able to kill it, because the dog is looking at our hands. He's attacked. White man, look up in his face. You understand? I'm telling you, because I live it every day. We're trying to stop the killing. Now you want to send them, they're sending somebody over in Switzerland to ask about how to stop the killings in the jail. I called the mayor when I was down in Atlanta. There's a man in Atlanta, Tim Cohen or something. He goes into prisons. Every day there was a dead person. Once he went in, it's not. But you'll go to the United States. The mayor never did contact me. I kept calling. Please find this man in Atlanta, Georgia, so you can stop the killing. You're going to have a whole lot of more killings because the police treat our children, black children, we're never above suspicion. We can't teach them that they love us, even though they said this was a good cop. And you see what happened to him.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Next speaker. Seeing no other speaker, we now call the roll. Please call the roll.
Mr. Coffey. Ms. Gross. Mrs. Harris. President Kraus. Here. Mr. Lavelle. Here. Mr. O'Connor. Mrs. Kell Smith. Here. Mrs. Strasburger. Here. Reverend Burgess.
Here.
8 members present.
Good, thank you very much. We're going to go out of order. We're going to go to the Public Safety Committee first, which I believe, trying to get to it, is still not get to it yet. Public Works Committee, I think, is on page 14 of your agenda. Ms. Kell Smith is the chair. We have a new paper.
Bill 1909, ordinance supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code Title I, Administrative Chapter 156, creating a clean street division within the Department of Public Works in order to oversee and improve the maintenance of vacant city-owned properties and to formalize the status of the division.
I need a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to hold for 5 weeks. I just want to say I'm working with the administration, Chief of Staff Gilman, and I spoke with the mayor about this. Everybody here knows that we're having a lot of issues with vacant lots and city-owned lots and city properties and vacant homes where the growth is so overgrown and the area is so overgrown. It really looks really badly in the city. So I want to bring something back similar to the Red Up Crew, but with a little bit more definition of what they'll do, an expanded role, and a little bit different. So we're working with Director Gable and the mayor and Chief of Staff Gilman, and the Women's Caucus also was working on this. So I think it's, and I know Councilman Caldwell said that he would like to co-sponsor it when it comes along. So as we begin working on it, we'll open it up for all that.
Need a second?
No.
No.
I just wanted to,
Is there a second? I need a second to the motion. Second. Ms. Caldwell.
Okay. No, I just wanted to comment. I love Councilwoman Kell Smith's idea. I feel it's really needed in my district as well as yours. I wholeheartedly support it, and thank you for your efforts, and
Thank you.
Proud to co-sponsor it, and hopefully it comes to fruition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's going to come to fruition.
Good.
One
All
way
right.
or
There's a
one way or the
motion.
other, somebody's cutting weeds down in the city.
There's a motion to hold for 5 weeks on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, there's 2 more bills. Please read them together.
Bill 1910, resolution vacating a portion of the right-of-way at South Nagley Avenue at Ava Street in the 8th Ward, 9th Council District. Bill number 1911, resolution vacating a portion of the right-of-way at Penn Avenue and South Euclid Avenue in the 8th Ward, 9th Council District.
Did you read the next 2? Both together.
Those
You
both.
did both? I need a motion to move. Is there a second? Second. I'm going to hold these in a minute. I just need to make an amendment to one of them, and then I'll ask for hold for public hearing. I need to amend, there's amendment for, or written amendment in your hands, 2019-10. I need a motion to amend.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay? Can we get through the amendment, which is, we're in Public Works Committee, Bill 2019-10, 2010, which is vacating streets. They're both vacating streets, part of the Whole Food projects in East Liberty. All right, the motion to amend is on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. All right, we want to hold for public hearing. The public hearing will happen after recess, but I wanted to get these in, and we'll hold for public hearing. We'll have lots of conversations about this going forward. Need a motion to hold for public hearing, both bills.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us through Public Works Committee, takes us to the front part of the, is there some?
Do we have one more?
Oh, I'm sorry, the deferred papers. I'm sorry, keep going. Next
Bill
bill, please.
1637, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Parks and the Department of Public Works to enter into a
Sorry,
lease
Teresa.
agreement with the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater for a portion of real property located on Liberty Avenue between 29th and 30th Street.
Need a motion, Ms. Smith.
Councilwoman Gross, what do you want to do?
Motion to hold for 4 weeks.
Motion to hold for 4
Is there a
weeks.
second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1848, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement between the city and 9 Mile Run Watershed Association for the provision of wetland mitigation monitoring and reporting as required by the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, not to exceed $50,000.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify
Oh,
by.
I'm sorry. Director? Do you want to come up? I apologize.
Sorry, I didn't give you advance.
That's okay.
Mike Abel, Director for Department of Public Works. We will no longer need this legislation. We're going to take a different route
Okay.
in terms of paying for the service of this reporting that has to be made to DEP. So
Thank you very
Motion to
much.
table.
we've talked to the law department, and we'll be coming back forth after recess with
So should we
with the
table this
warrant.
bill?
Motion, I'll accept the motion to table.
Motion to table?
I need a second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Gross? Mrs. Harris? President Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle? Mrs. Kell-Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Reverend Burgess?
Aye.
7-0.
Thank you very much. New bill. So we're
1882.
Yep.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement between the City of Pittsburgh and Renaissance 3 Architects for the professional architecture services for Robert E. Williams Community Building reconstruction and design documents at a cost not to exceed $147,807.
Need a motion, Ms. Smith.
Motion to approve?
Need a second. Any conversation, Mr. Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1883, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works to enter into a professional services agreement between the city and Rios William Architect PC for architectural and engineering design services for a series of restroom renovations in the city-county building not to exceed $110,719.05.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Need a second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Smith.
I have nothing.
Any other conversation? Mr.
Yeah,
Kraus.
just briefly, help me, guide me to what bill we're on, please.
We're on bill, top of the agenda, page 17, 1883.
1883. So, Director, just as a placeholder, the conversation around bathrooms in general, but gender-neutral bathrooms to be specific, and if we're going to embark on renovations in our public facilities, I just would like to put a placeholder in there for at least the beginning discussions of what it means to have gender-neutral bathrooms available to the public in the building here.
Certainly, and again, this is just specifically for the city-county building. Only for the restrooms that are controlled by the city of Pittsburgh. We're working with the county for their floors, but right now this is just for the city floors.
So we're on the exact same page. My comments are around the city-county building and the bathrooms that we are responsible for, and the importance of our commitment to understanding and implementing gender-neutral bathrooms.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other conversation? No conversation. All those in,
Yeah, just one question. So in this building, the city takes care of a certain amount of bathrooms as compared to the county, is that right? It's split like the roof was?
There's some floors that are strictly county floors,
Okay.
Where the courts are at and stuff
that
like
right?
that.
Yeah.
Some are shared, some
Got
are
it.
strictly entirely city. Like our third floor is entirely city.
Right.
Second is a sharing of the county and the city, so it's a mixed
Okay.
bag.
Yeah, so we know which bathrooms are whose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you need to identify, I got it.
I'll do that on my own.
any conversation? Any more conversation? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1884, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works to execute relevant agreement to receive grant funding from the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission's Keystone Historic Preservation Construction Grant to replace the stones around the pedestrian tunnel in Highland Park, and further providing for an agreement not to exceed $100,000. The city will supply the required matching funds and supplement the project in an amount of $420,000. Total project cost, $520,000.
Need a motion, Ms. Smith?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation?
Just briefly.
Briefly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Briefly, yeah, so I'm very excited about this project. I just want to thank the director for working so hard to come up with the funding. We've had a lot of inquiries and complaints from constituents because it's a construction site. And so it's wonderful to get the funds so that the project can move forward and everyone will be able to enjoy this wonderful asset in the park as it's restored historically. So I don't know if Director, if you want to add anything.
No, we're sorry that it's taken as long as it has. We do need to hurry because the stones have all been marked. It's a puzzle to put back together, and some of those are starting to fade, so time is of the essence.
That's scary. Maybe we can refresh the markings,
Yeah.
but hurry and get them back in
Yeah,
place.
so we're gonna probably proceed with getting the tunnel reassembled and maybe look later on about the landscaping features on the backside and leading down to Serpentine Drive, Serpentine Road, whatever, so.
Yep, that wonderful
Okay.
historic trail. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Motion approved on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Thank you.
Resolution vacating a portion
Thank
of
you,
Caldwell Street and portions of our way in the 3rd Ward, 6th Council District.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Your second. Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1886, resolution granting unto Zayed Amado his successors and assign the privilege and license to construct, maintain, use at their own cost and expense an exterior wood trellis at the Alibaba Restaurant, 4th Ward, 6th Council District.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second? Second. Any conversation? Erica.
It was brought to my attention that this is not the 6th Council District, but actually my district, 8th Council District. So I'd like to offer a voice amendment to change 6 to 8.
Need a second?
Second.
Any other conversation? No conversation. All those in favor of that verbal amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. It is such amendment, takes us back to the original bill. Any more conversation on the original bill? Motion approved on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1887, resolution providing for a contract and/or agreement for purposes of receiving and expending grant funds, providing for the implementation of the Advanced Transportation and Congestion Management Technologies Development Project, and enter into an additional agreement with any other relevant agencies as needed to accept grant fundings offered to the city for this project, and further providing for legitimate expenditures for any services required in connection with the expenditures of said grant funds per the original intent of the grant award. Agreement not to exceed $21,798,636.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve with discussion. Oh, no discussion. Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1888, resolution providing for a contract and/or agreements for the planning, design, repairs, maintenance, improvement, emergencies, operations, and/or the purchase of materials, equipment, and supplies in connection with the production of the Oakland Transportation Study and associated projects.
Need a motion, Ms.
Motion
Smith?
to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us to the front of the committee, Finance and Law Committee, of which I am the chair. We have deferred paper.
Bill 701, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code, Title II, Fiscal Article 9, Property Taxes, Chapter 265, exemption for residential improvements.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second? Any conversation?
This is 701. I have an amendment on 702.
This is 701.
Oh, 701? We have an amendment from Councilman O'Connor on 0701. I thought, Councilman Kraus, that you were going to move it forward.
Wait a second, no, I'm confused. No.
Pretty sure there's an amendment on the table in yellow from Councilman O'Connor on 0701.
So we haven't had a, which,
There is, I wasn't aware I was offering it.
I thought Councilman O'Connor,
what I have is 702. Just one for 701?
Councilman O'Connor has amendment on each bill.
Are these the alerted bills? Okay.
All right. So,
I am not aware I'm offering
so
this.
70, let me go back. Let me get to them. 1702 and 17, where's the 1701?
0701, I believe the amendment changes the effective date so that
yeah,
instead
I
of
get
being
it.
effective in 2018, which would be retroactive, that it changes the
Does.
amendment to be effective January 1st, 2020.
It does.
Let's put them both on the table. Let's work on them both, because
Let's do.
they're both not. All right, 1701. So let me talk about the process a little bit, if you do not mind. Mr. Connor's office has been working along with a group of people, with the mayor's office, with developers, to come up with these amendments. These amendments are not, although sponsored by Mr. O'Connor, they have been in a collaborative form. I have been tangentially involved, not directly involved. My staff has been involved. And so these amendments already have the approval of the mayor, a group of council who've been a part of it, the staffers, and the development community. These are not hostile amendments, and they will make the LERDA, they'll make the LERDA go through. So both of them have been vetted. So I need a motion to amend.
On
Motion to
seven-
amend 0701.
1701, we're only on 0701.
Right, motion to amend.
Is there a second? Question on the amendment itself. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
Abstain.
One abstention.
Two
All right?
abstentions.
Two abstentions. All right, it has been now amended. Now we're on the bill as amended. Ms. Gross.
Right, so I also have been working tangentially with a number of people, both in the housing advocacy community and the construction community, kind of going back and forth, right? I mean, the goal here is to not do LERDAs like it's 2007, when no one in the city of Pittsburgh was building anything. And that is what we've been saying now for 2 years. And Councilman O'Connor and I collaborated on asking the city controller 2 years in a row, you'll remember, to do an audit, because no one had kept a list of who had gotten tax abatements and tax credits for 10 years. And so we have better information. I don't think we still at council have all of the information that answers all of our questions. We have some questions about which neighborhoods have seen more of these abatements and which types of abatements, and what kinds of projects have we already incentivized in what kinds of neighborhoods. And then moving forward, what kinds of projects do which neighborhoods want, and what kinds of incentives match those neighborhood plans. And so one of the things that you see in front of us in 07 and 01, 0701 and 0702 next, is an addition from the administration proposed over a year now that everybody's had a chance to get used to, that mirrors the 10% units at 50% AMI. Now, keep in mind, those are in the bills that only apply to, basically, you only use them if you're doing a very large project. And in the 2007 world, in the original legislation from over 10 years ago, those were only for those specific listed neighborhoods. So many parts of the city have never used that kind of tax abatement. And so while this broadens out their availability to all neighborhoods, it also adds in this affordability requirement. I know I've heard from some council members that they're not entirely sure how that's going to work out, and I think none of us are entirely sure how that's going to work out, right? We can't know, because we are doing things differently than 2007. But it's also true that the development market is tremendously different in most city neighborhoods. But we still are struggling in all of our tools to try to match the right regulations and incentives for the right kind of market. And we have neighborhoods that are, as I've said, many times, and we all understand, that are almost polar opposites in their market dynamics right now. And so that's really, and then they may have their own ideas for themselves, right? So we're kind of struggling to do this blanket policy that is maybe not the right approach. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that at the school board, they don't do it this way, right? There are tax abatements, and a large development project has to come to that body and in public present their project so that the citizens can see the project and the body can see the project and then take a vote, either up or down. And similarly, the county does it that way. But at the city, we have not been doing that way. Our law department has advised us we're not allowed to do it that way. I'm still not entirely comfortable that that's the only opinion of how we are to do this. But for right now, we're still trying to do this by right blanket policy, and then struggling to figure out what's neighborhoods it suits and which ones it doesn't. And I know some council members still have some changes. So I'm supportive of these minor amendments that Councilman O'Connor has in front of us for 0701, which is we only read 0701, because mostly what it does is simply change the effective date. And also the audit that I mentioned before when we were struggling, basically we were looking for other sources of funds when we were looking to fund the Housing Opportunity Trust Fund, if you'll remember. So this is going back to 3 years now. And I said, well, some of the LRTAs that were given out 10 years ago will be coming to an end if they were 10-year LRTAs, and there might be funds there. It turned out there really weren't any. There were barely any that were handed out in 2007 and 2008 because nobody was building anything anywhere. And they were mostly city projects. But as we have seen a lot of projects built in 2014, 2015, 2016, there really are a lot of things that will be coming online with new tax revenue. So it's just something that's kind of just a recap of a lot of this discussion. So I'm supportive of these, and then I have further amendments for 0702.
We're 0701.
This is 0701, though.
We're in 0701 as amended. Ms. Smith.
So I'm just going to abstain today. I'm going to take time to work on some amendments that will help District 2. Councilman Coghill, Councilwoman Harris and parts of her district, Councilman Kraus and part of his district, and a large part of my district, we're not receiving the overwhelming development that you're receiving in Lawrenceville and those areas. And while I appreciate and understand that you need to do something for your area, we also need to do something for our areas, and that's to incentivize development to occur in our areas. And some of us have an overabundance of affordable housing, so we need to stabilize the housing we have, not add to what we already have that's unoccupied already. So, I mean, while your strategy may work for your area, we have a very different strategy on our side of town. And so I'm going to work with my colleagues who also share the same opinions, same concerns, to put some amendments in for next week. So I'll abstain today.
Mr. Coghill.
Yeah, well said, Councilwoman Killsmith, and thank you, Councilwoman Gross, for, to me, it's important to identify our neighborhoods are completely different, whereas I'll use your 10% inclusionary housing in the Strip District just makes complete sense to me and needs to be done. However, if I had a project going on in my district where they can choose to build just, a tenth of a mile down the street in Dormont, it might restrict development. So, for those reasons, and again, just everybody recognizing that every district is so different, or at least my district, and I think Councilwoman Kill-Smith's is completely different than, some of the other districts. And for that reason, that's important to note and to keep, on a common sense factor into, does that TIF work for, or does that LRTA work for my district or not? And I like it. I like your ideas in an individual basis, just voting on each one.
I love that too.
Makes most sense.
I love that too. We should actually ask for a legal opinion on that from the law department.
We are at 0701. There's a motion to approve on the table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That brings us to the second LRTA bill, which is 0702.
Wait, abstain. Sorry.
2 abstentions,
And
okay?
Anthony, you're
Yeah,
abstaining.
abstain also.
3 abstentions.
3 abstentions.
All right,
Remind
do I need to do a roll call vote, or is Simpsons so noted? Simpsons are so noted.
So noted.
0702.
702, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code, Title II, Fiscal Article 9, Property Taxes, Chapter 267, Exemptions for Industrial and Commercial Improvements.
Need a motion.
Motion to amend?
I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
I need a second.
Motion to amend?
Now, the motion to amend, first of all, there's a motion to approve. There was one person on the motion to approve before the motion to amend, Mr. Carlson, and I'll get to you second.
Just very briefly, I have a question about the motion to come to amend, because I have 2 amendments here on the same bill by separate members.
I asked the clerk about that, and we can take them consecutively because they don't speak to the same sections. I tried to suggest that they be put into one, but they were put on the table as 2.
The Councilman O'Connor didn't want them together.
So we can take them consecutively. We can, no, they're 2 separate.
Want hers on his.
We can take them both. It's a process question. I'll get to the process first.
You interrupted when you wanted to.
So my preference is actually to take Corey's amendment first and then
I
take.
motion to amend. Either
I'm
I get
gonna
a
recognize
second or I
it.
don't.
I'm gonna recognize you. I'm just telling you my preference. I didn't say you have to follow it, but at least I'm going to tell you my preference, right? My preference is not to take your amendment first, but I will do so if that's the will of the body. Mr. Carter is not here, and I would prefer to amend it with Mr. Carter's amendment first, and then discuss your amendment second, because I think that makes the most sense. I think it makes it cleaner and easier. Because what happens is, once you amend it, it's actually a new bill, right? So then you can amend the amended bill, because once you amend it, either way, for either section, you can then do a second amendment. You actually can do that. It's not a problem. They just can't do them together. You have to do one, then the other one.
I made a motion to amend.
Yes, but you didn't say what your amendment.
I'm motioning to amend
Which one, what?
with my amendment.
All right, is there a second? Okay, motion to amend on the table, Ms. Gross.
Thank you. So what council has in front of you, and it is confusing, and just so that no one misunderstands, they're clearly labeled up at the top, either Councilman Gross or Councilman O'Connor. So there's 2. So mine has slight amendments to the section that was pre-existing in the bill, and you can see them in red. So, for example, for a year, it has already suggested that this LRTA, which is mainly, again, for very large multi-units that are doing apartments, so in an area that was previously zoned commercial or industrial, but you know how you're allowed to do large multi-units, that's when developers are using this specific type of abatement. For a year, it's been on the table as saying 10% at 50% AMI. What we've worked through now that the mayor has a kind of equity officer is that we are having that office review plans, which is the way we also put it into the inclusionary zoning order. So it's a very small change. Similarly, it has been on the table now for over a year with everyone reviewing it in the committee that was mentioned before by Councilman Burgess, understanding that there is another option, which is if you're adding 50 jobs. So let's say you're building like Uber did in the Strip District, or Argo AI did in the Strip District, or just as we happened in the Facebook building, where suddenly there was a surface parking lot, and now there's a building with 300 employees. If you can show that you're creating 50 jobs, this is how the administration put this forward, then you are qualifying for this LRTA. All this adds is that you also put on file with the Office of Equity a plan to say that you're going to try to attract people, residents of the city of Pittsburgh to those jobs, or you have a plan that would target more disadvantaged workers, and there's a definition of disadvantaged workers. So it's not binding, but you're at least making a good faith effort to put a plan in place. And I know other council members, and in fact, Councilman LaBelle has been working on similar things. And it is, again, simply the kind of thing this body has talked about under contracts, when we do city contracts, that we have the MBE, WBE, and then try to put a plan in place, and then so that we can check later and see if that plan was feasible. And so there's a benchmark, basically, against which we can document. And then finally, if you are doing the 10% at 50% AMI that everybody has been talking about for over a year in this legislation that you can see is in black because it was in the original legislation and it is not being amended, but below it, that similarly you not be able to do kind of all of those units is like a 400-foot micro unit studio, which builders are building. That you would have to have a distribution of units. So some units, if you've got like a whole building of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, that the units that you have at a lower rent also be 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, so that there's a consistency there. We don't have 2 tiers of tenants. And so these have been reflected and have been in discussion for a long time. And I think that pretty much summarizes it.
Other conversation on the
Thank you.
amendment? Mr.
Yeah, so just let me be clear.
Coghill, then Mr. Lavelle.
Me?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Coghill.
When we talked about this originally, I just envisioned, say it's a 7-story condominium, to have that 10%. I did picture them smaller and, but what you're saying is they're to be the same size, same amenities as the upper scale ones. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Lavelle.
So, thank you. So first and foremost, I just want to be clear. I'm actually very supportive of the spirit of these, but I have concerns about doing them in this manner. Some, as you already mentioned, and we were sort of having a sidebar earlier, some of the language in here, I've been sort of separately working on a bill that I actually introduced maybe about 4 years ago, which was a local hire bill that would affect all construction within our city. However, I ran into both practical and legal challenges with it, and I've since had to roll back and try to figure out a simpler, more simplistic way to do it. But in that bill, it had disadvantaged workers, it had percentages of units, a whole lot of things. But I haven't been able to advance it forward. And I say that to say I'm not sure if we can also then advance it forward in this bill. If there were a way to potentially separate some of these amendments out, like putting disadvantaged worker in while not some of the others, I might be more supportive. But there are some that also give me concerns, such as to make such units available to applicants with housing choice vouchers. I support the spirit of that, which is why we did the source of income legislation that this council unanimously passed. However, the court struck it down. And so to put a bill that we already know was struck down just a month ago or so into this bill will have us back in court and probably hold up the entire LRTA. Now, I'd be willing to rewrite the source of income bill, especially given the new precedent that was just set this week with the paid sick day, and now rewrite that and put it back into law. And I'd be willing to do that separately, and I'd love to do it with you. My other concern, and I don't know legally how we do this, is when you have an inclusionary housing commitment to provide for a period of 35 years. I don't know how we do a 35-year commitment on top of a 10-year LRTA. I just don't know how that technically works itself out, and so I'm not comfortable voting it through without knowing that. Not that I'm against it, because almost everything you have in here, in the spirit, I'm with. I just don't know if it should be in here or if it should be a totally separate bill that encompasses sort of all of development and we layer this on top of it. So I have more outstanding questions than anything else. So I would like to have time to be able to sort of work that through before being asked to vote on it today.
Very much. Ms. Harris.
When you did the definition of disadvantaged workers, if the city's going to do something like that, it shouldn't just be for construction. It should be for everything.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
It should
hear
be for
you.
everything. No, don't just put it,
In a tax abatement.
Right.
That your citizens who own their own homes in their own district don't get.
Well, I'm saying, you have homeless people here. you know, you might want to hire a couple in your office. We have them on the north side from New York, Ohio, and most of the suburbs. I only have one over there right now that I know of. It's even lives in, come from the city of Pittsburgh. So if you're talking about, you know, changing of what we put in as a disadvantaged worker, I have no problem unless you're doing it across the board. I mean, we could have homeless police officers, set them up in a job. What I hate is every time it comes to actually doing skilled labor, and Anthony, you should know what I'm talking about. It always comes back.
You're assuming he's skilled.
And it always comes back. And this happened in the school district, too. It always came to put these pieces in when it dealt with building. It happened with East Street Valley Expressway, and they found out they couldn't do it with a lot of programs. So I say, if you do it for one, it should be for every job. I mean, the only people that they would send over to get into VOTEC school were children that had some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Handicap. But not for any other job. They just felt that the other kids could get a college, and certain kids could only work in skilled labor. And I think you really need to see what all there is for that. And is it legal just to pick up one job and say, this is what we're going to do here? I mean, do it across the board. Let's do a piece of legislation and do it for every job. Attorneys, put them, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense the way this is written, the way it's written. Thank you.
Very much. So, Ms. Strasburger.
So, I hope that no one takes this the wrong way. If anyone knows me, they know that I am, I try to be meticulous in my review of legislation and very, very thorough. And I understand that there's been a long-standing discussion about this over the last year. Before I vote yes on any amendment or even the final version of this bill, the previous one was such, small technical amendments. I could vote on that, but for these, I would really appreciate being able to sit down with someone who has been part of that group before the final vote to understand. Just to echo Councilman Lavelle, I do support the spirit of what I'm reading today, some of which I received yesterday afternoon from Councilman O'Connor's office, some of which I received just today from Councilwoman Gross, and not just the amendments, but the entire bill, the language of the bill. But I would appreciate sitting down with various people who have been working on this, who can walk me through it and help me understand exactly what decisions were made and why, before I vote yes. So I'm voting no, not because I disagree with the spirit of it, but because I'd like to more fully understand it before next Tuesday.
Ms. Smith.
And I'm going to abstain until I have some further conversations, but we have one of the greatest land use attorneys right there who sues us all the time, Jonathan Kamen. We should just ask him and get it over with.
So
That's my privilege.
So I have another motion. I'm going to motion to withdraw. because I really appreciate my colleagues' comments, and I think that we have in front of us this opportunity here. What we have in the next amendment is Councilman O'Connor's, similar to the one we just voted on, that does the start date not till January. So we know that we have some discomfort around the geographies that Councilman Coghill and Councilwoman Smith want to work on. And I appreciate the feedback, and I apologize for the last minute stuff. I do think you'll see with more time to understand the wording here is that these are different than the enforced source of income ones, which was regulatory instead of a condition on an incentive, for example. So I do think that this will be easily rectified, and since none of this is going to apply to a single development in 2019 at all, because we're about to vote on an effective date for January, that we have plenty of time to work this out. So thank you for indulging me, Mr. Chair. Motion to withdraw.
I need a second to withdraw.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Now I need a motion to consider the second amendment, which is the Corey O'Connor amendment. I need a motion to amend.
Are we under finance?
We are still in 1702. Thank you. I need a second. I need a second. I need a second for the motion to amend.
Second.
Thank you very much. If someone would defer, if you would defer to me just for a minute. So there has been a long, ongoing conversation between three groups of people. Representing council has been Mr. O'Connor, someone representing the mayor's office, and a group of developers who have been meeting really over the last 6 months to craft these pieces of legislation. And so they have been cleared through that group, cleared through the mayor's office. And so again, we can amend this, move it to the final vote. If you're not comfortable at that point, we can still vote it down, amend it, and change it. And so, but I would prefer to have a clean bill that we're discussing so that everyone is on the same page. And then other amendments, other processes, we can discuss with the mayor's office. And so this is an amendment, I believe, amendment by substitution. I believe that's what Corey's amendment is, or maybe not. No, it's just a technical amendment. So it's just a technical amendment. Okay, it's the same thing. All right, so there's a motion and a second for this technical amendment. Ms. Harris.
Yes, you said there were a number of construction workers.
Developers.
Developers, okay. Did you have anyone from any of the unions there?
I did not attend the meetings. Mr. Connor was the council representative that was part of that conversation.
Where'd he go?
He's not here today.
Oh,
He's under the
okay.
table.
I seen the water sitting there. I thought he was there. Okay.
Okay. There's an motion to amend on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Which
No.
bills us to bill, pardon me? We have two noes?
No, abstain. I'm sorry.
Abstain.
I'm going to abstain from all
Two
these.
abstains, and what are you doing, Mrs. Strasburger?
No.
No, and one no. All right? So that puts the bill on the table as amended. Any other conversation? If no conversation,
No, I'm just going to say I'm going to abstain from all these because I think that I need to know how all this is going to affect my district. As I said, numerous times, we want to encourage development on our side of town. And I'd like to have some further discussions with other groups that were not involved in the conversations and meetings that Councilman O'Connor had.
all right? Motion to approve on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay.
Abstain.
Abstain.
And three abstentions.
Three abstentions.
All right?
There was one no.
And one no. Roll call vote.
Mr. Coghill. Mrs. Gross.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Abstain.
President Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith.
Abstain.
Mrs. Strasburger.
No.
And Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes, 1 noes, and 3 abstentions.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, that takes us to the next bill, which is 1800.
Bill 1800, resolution authorizing the city solicitor on behalf of the city to petition the Orphans Court Division of the Court of Common Pleas of Allegheny County to request a transfer of a portion of a certain lot, now part of Enright Parklet in the East Liberty neighborhood of the city, to Penley Park South in exchange for an abutting parcel of land of approximately equal size and value as the subject property to be transferred from PPS to the city for consolidation with and use as part of Enright Parklet, plus all necessary or appropriate expenses incurred by the city and or upon such other terms and conditions as the court or the city authorize and or direct.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All right, I need a motion to amend.
Motion to amend. Oh, sorry.
I need a second.
Second.
It's a written amendment. All right, pardon me?
I'm sorry, is this the same as the other ones that you mentioned?
No, these are three different bills. It's all the same project.
What numbers
but
are we on?
Three different bills. We're on the third bill, Financial Law 1800.
1,800?
Yeah, the one we had the public hearing about, all right? The other ones we held for a public hearing, this we've already had a public hearing about. This basically, if you defer, I'm not sure who made the motion to amend.
I'll defer.
If you defer, basically, Sean, come to the table. We've worked with the law department, all of the interested city departments. This project should now be moved to Orphans Court. Sean?
The amendment before you, which is an amendment by substitute, Sean Carter, Special Assistant, Office of Councilman Ricky Burgess. The amendment by substitute before you to bill
Smartest
number
man on the floor.
1800 is primarily to make consistent with the terms of the court order signed by Judge James, where the city agreed to pursue these various actions before the Orphans Court. This specifically has to go before the Orphans Court. The city cannot swap out parkland without permission from the court. The purpose of this legislation is to get this petition to the court, and then it will be dealt with by the judge of the Orphans Court. We just made the resolution which authorizes the solicitor to go before the Orphans Court, consistent with the court order itself. And does anybody have any questions?
That's it. All right.
Okay.
You can
Motion
stop.
to amend on the table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Motion to approve on the table.
Staying on this one.
Stay,
I'm a
that's
little
fine.
lost in the details. Thank
That's
you.
fine. Motion to approve on the table. Any conversation about the motion to approve?
I abstained on this part.
That's fine too. Motion to approve on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Abstentions. 2 abstentions. Ms. Harris and Ms. Gross, thank
Right.
you very much. I will move this on. Next bill, please.
Bill 1827, resolution providing for the issuing of a warrant in the total sum of $52,500 in favor of Jennifer Batten and her attorneys, releasing the city from all claims and liabilities for alleged personal injuries as described in a lawsuit filed in the Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Do we have the executive session?
I should know.
It says it
I'm
was.
blanking.
Do we have the executive session?
On the 18th.
Yes,
We
they
did. Okay, motion to approve.
Need a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1860.
One abstention.
Bill 1860, resolution authorizing the mayor and executive director of the Gender Equity Commission to receive grant funding from the grant makers of Western Pennsylvania to conduct a listening tour in which commissioners will be engaged with youth to identify existing intersectional inequities and offer ideas to improve the equity of Pittsburgh, and further providing for expenditures not to exceed $1,000.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a
Second.
second? Any conversation? See no.
I just want to say, if I hear those words "listening tour" one more time, and we come back with the idea of what we wanted, I think I'll go through the roof. So I hope they're really going to listen on this tour and really hear what people are saying, not just come back with your preconceived idea of what you think people want.
Thank you
That's
very
all.
much. Motion
Thank
to
you.
approve on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1861, resolution authorizing issuing of a warrant in the amount of $12,876.37 in favor of Duquesne Light Company for damage to their light pole and transformer on Leonard Street, October 31st, 2018.
Need a motion to approve.
Motion to
Need
approve.
a second? Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Takes us to the next bill, please.
Bill 1862, resolution providing for the sale of certain property acquired by the city at tax sale, items A through J, 850 Series, 507 Gearing, 339 Seward, 1200 Spring, 1200, 1206, 1204, 1208 Spring Garden, 848 California and 846 California, 2925 Hartman.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve. Just curious if Connie's here. Oh, okay, please come up.
I have some question too.
Hi, thank you. You've been to the table before.
Yeah, Aaron
haven't you?
Pickett, manager of real estate.
Okay, good, Eric. Thank you for being here. Just have a question about B under 1862, purchase of 507 Gearing Avenue for rehabilitation.
Yes, that's a gentleman who lives in the community.
Okay.
He does like construction work in the community, and he's just acquiring this property for rehab.
Okay. I guess a broader question I have. Someone comes in, you know, Mr. Smith comes in, wants to purchase property for rehabilitation. Are there timelines or deliverables that we ask in return for selling a property for rehabilitation? In that someone purchases a property, are people agreeing, or is there capacity to have people agree to have rehabilitation done within a reasonable amount of time so the property is indeed rehabbed and put back on the tax roll?
No, nothing's currently in place. Once he acquires the property, I assume once he grabs permits and things like that, they kind of take it into that realm.
He's going to go into the system basically from this point on, and we're going to trust that he's going to indeed rehab the property.
Typically, community groups will get involved as well to kind of push them as well.
I know the street well. And the street deserves the best, right, and should be. Okay, thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate it.
Smith.
I just have a question or concern, I'll just say, for the number C, or letter C, on Seward Street. And I don't know if that there's not any complaints from this developer for previous properties. I vaguely recall there being some, but I could be wrong, so I want to verify that. And two, I want to know how the resident feels, because he's building a property right next to an existing house.
Okay.
So I want to talk to that resident. So if I come back next week and delete it, that's why.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm happy to see it happen, so as long as the community is supportive, I'm supportive.
All those in favor signify. Ms. Harris.
Yeah, I'd like to delete a few off of here, and if everyone's okay with them.
Are they?
T, E, F, and G.
Motion to delete. Is there a second? I need a second. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. As deleted. Takes us back to the original bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1863, resolution repealing items and resolutions approved on various dates, which authorizes sale of property in various wards of the city due to an incompletion of sale. Items A through C, 1812 Enoch, 1612 Brighton, and 2241 Spokane.
Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1864, resolution providing for the conveyance by the city of certain property having been placed for sale to adjourning property owners in conjunction with the City of Pittsburgh Side Yard Program, items A through M.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
And some coffee. Although, any conversations about the motion?
Brief sidebar. Quick question, if I may, please. I'm a huge fan of the side yard program, and I think it's the best deal going. Right, am I okay? Do I have the floor? Yeah. But we still suffer significant delay in clearing the titles and getting the properties turned over, and I certainly don't profess to have the answer, but I would like, and this will be on me, to have better communication with real estate as to how we can perform our due diligence in a more timely manner, because I really want to encourage people to use this program, but far too often what I hear is frustration in, oh my God, it's taken so very long. And I have one woman in particular, and we're probably over the 2-year mark now to get the title cleared for her, and so that'll fall on us. But I will offer up a better communication with real estate as to how we as council can help process side yard in a much more efficient manner so that people will use the program. It's a great program.
Can I just say, it is a great program, but a lot of it depends on state laws and that you follow those. And so I think some of it is out of our control. And I mean, these are some of the reasons I think we should have, a good working relationship with our, state elected officials so that we can get things like this that are holding up progress in the city, moving in a better direction. And this is just one of many, and so many around housing and property rights.
Any more conversations? No more conversations. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1866, resolution amending resolution number 772 by reducing Homewood cameras by $53,578 and increasing public safety cameras by $53,578.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1900, resolution transferring the amount of $44,910 from the property vehicle line item to professional and technical services administrative fees, all within the city clerk's office.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by, Ms. Foster.
I have a suggested voice amendment. The written text says 44,400, but
It's for 44,900.
the number says 900, so
I think the written one's right.
maybe there's been a correction since.
44.9, it should be 44.9.
Okay, just clarifying.
All those in
Thank
favor
you.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
It's invoices.
That's the end of those invoices. Need a motion for the invoices.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. And my page turning is slow. I'm getting slower and slower. Interdepartment transfers on the table. I need a motion for the interdepartmental transfers.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. P cards. There's a, on the table, right? P cards are on the table. Need a motion for the P cards?
So
Need a
moved.
second?
Second.
Questions about the P cards? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Public Safety Services Committee, Mr. Lavelle is the chair. We have a supplemental paper.
Bill 1912, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of public safety to enter on behalf of the city into a 2-year professional services agreement with one option to renew with the Center That Cares for the purpose of implementation of the Pittsburgh Group Violence Intervention Street Outreach Program. Total cost not to exceed $637,500.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Council should recall, a couple months ago, we had a package of 4 bills. One of those bills was to increase the funding to our group violence intervention work. This contract is now reflected of that increase in funding, extends the contract for 2 years with an option to renew for an additional 3rd year.
I'm sorry, Ms. Harris.
What does that exactly mean? Can you refresh my memory?
What is group violence intervention work?
Yeah, where's the money going? It's going to this group. For
Center That Cares is headed up by Reverend Glenn Grayson. So he is the chairman or the president of that organization. But that organization then subcontracts out to all our street violence prevention workers, to Goodwill, to all the social service agencies that work to help get the gentleman off the street who they have targeted for violence intervention. We contract with his organization. His organization then subsequently pays everyone else who's a part of the program.
And how long have we been doing this?
The prior contract was for 2 years, I believe, and now we're extending it another 2 years.
Okay, and the 2 years that we had it before, how many people were helped?
I can get you that information.
Would you please?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1869, resolution providing for the issuing of a warrant in favor of Specialty Vehicle Solutions LLC in an amount of $40,505.10 for the upfitting of a vehicle for the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Police.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1870, resolution amending resolution number 133, authorizing the mayor and director of public safety to enter on behalf of the city into a 3-year professional services agreement with Johnson Controls for security camera integration and support services to defining funding sources.
Need a motion? Mr.
Motion
Riddle.
to approve.
Need a second? Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us to page
I had a question,
18.
and you voted real fast on it.
Really?
Yes, so I just wanted to know on 1869, where's that money coming from?
Which 1869, where we at? Where's 1869 is the, which bill?
Yeah, it was the one before we just voted.
I do not know the answer to that question. That's public work, that's the public safety bill?
Yeah,
If you would please come forward, Ms. Harris has a question?
look for my hand next time.
I'm so sorry.
Put a white glove on her.
Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson will.
It will be coming out of the asset forfeiture funding
Okay,
seizure.
so I needed it.
Okay, so that takes us to the Human
you.
Resources Committee, I believe? Takes us to on page 18 for a fastly moving agenda, right? That takes us to the Human Resources Committee. Ms. Harris is the chair. We have a new paper.
Bill 1867, resolution requesting authorization for the mayor and the manager of the Office of Municipal Investigations to enter into an agreement with Assured Polygram Services for an amount not to exceed $24,000 to conduct public safety candidate pre-employment polygraph examinations and/or testimony in civil service decertification hearings regarding.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1868, resolution providing for an agreement with the CREATE Lab at Carnegie Mellon University in an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. It takes us to Land Use and Economic Development Committee. We have a new paper.
Bill 1865, resolution directing the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections and the Department of Finance to establish guidelines to ensure that all contractors on publicly owned projects are properly licensed.
Need a motion, Ms. Gross?
Motion to approve.
Need a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Read the next two bills together, please.
Bill 1889, resolution amending Resolution 440, providing for the filing of a grant with the 2017 CDBG program so as to reprogramming within City Council from D to DEK hockey in Southwest Pittsburgh CDC to Birmingham Foundation West Side Mustang, $6,000. Bill number 1890, resolution amending resolution number 441, so as to reprogram funds within City Council from D to DEK hockey in Southwest Pittsburgh CDC to Birmingham Foundation West Side Mustang, $6,000.
Need a motion,
Motion
Ms.
to
Gross.
approve.
Need a second?
Second, with discussion.
Discussion, Ms.
Brief discussion. I just want to say this is for our West End Mustangs. It's an amazing football program that we pay for the uniforms, the trophies for the kids, but there have been a ton of volunteers that come together and work on this program, including Marty Langford, who's been the president of the group, has been amazing. And yesterday he had Juju Schuster, I think his name is. Juju, he's a Steeler. Tell me, somebody correct me.
Schuster.
Okay, I don't know enough about sports, but he had him in Chartier City working with the kids yesterday. So, I mean, he's just an amazing president. He's been an amazing organization, and they were so thrilled to have a Steeler there. But I think they're fortunate to have Marty there every week. So, that's it.
Motion to approve on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. It takes us to Urban Recreation Committee. Mr. Coghill is the chair. Do you not mind? I can read both together. Do you care? We have both a supplemental paper and a deferred paper. I think you can read them both together.
Bill number 1908, resolution naming the Ferrywood Playground at Ferrywood Park as the Eric Guy Kelly Playground. Bill number 1833, resolution naming the basketball court located at the Olympia Park as the Billy Masucci Basketball Court.
Read them both?
Yep.
All right. I need a motion. Mr. Coghill.
Yes, well, I'll defer to Councilwoman Cale Smith.
So one was held, we already had the public hearing. It was on Monday. So one
Okay,
can
so
be
I should not
approved.
read them together.
So one,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, so one could be approved and
Right.
one
All right,
could
so
be
let's
held for
take them one
public
at a
hearing.
time. They're both up, but we're going to vote finally on Bill 1908, the first one. It needs to be, one.
Needs to be held for a public hearing.
All right, I need a motion to hold Bill 1908 for public hearing. I'm sorry about reading them together, that was my fault. Is there such a motion?
Motion to hold Bill 1908.
I need a second.
Public hearing.
For public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye. Saying aye?
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Again, my fault. Now it takes us to deferred one, which the public hearing was held. There's already a motion to approve on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us to the next committee, which is Innovation, Performance, and
thank you,
Asset
Councilman
Management.
Coghill.
Mrs. Strasburger is the chair. We have a new paper.
Bill 1891, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure and/or the Department of Innovation and Performance on behalf of the city to enter into an agreement with Shared Streets in order to receive access to their visualization platform suite, which will further the city's ability to deliver mobility services to residents.
I need a motion, Ms. Strasburger.
Motion to approve for the
Need
discussion.
a second, Ms. Strasburger.
Is there a member of the city who can address this bill?
Yeah, I should know about this.
No? Okay, I have not yet been briefed by,
Oh, which one, is this under?
Smart.
I
Shear-
told her to leave.
All
So
right.
if you have a question, call her, because she has work to do, and I wanted to get her out of here.
Well,
This is mostly the
I
data.
have questions.
The data
too,
stuff?
So they're supposed to be
This
answered.
is,
Well,
okay.
somebody from that department should be
Miss-
here.
Mi-
She was already sitting here for 2
Miss-
hours.
Ms. Strasburger, what was your preference?
happy
wanna-
to support today. I will confer with the appropriate directors.
All right. There's a
or
motion to approve on the table. All
representatives.
those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. Abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention.
Let me
Takes
just
us
say,
to-
I apologize, because I told her, after sitting here, I told her we were done with the committee, and she said there was one more bill, and not knowing when we get to it, and she's in the middle of paving season, I told her to go.
All right, we're in the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. Mr. O'Connor is the chair. We have a deferred paper.
Bill 983, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Finance to execute a quitclaim deed and any other necessary appropriate documents, agreements, and instruments conveying as is all of the city's right, title, and interest, if any, and designated city-owned properties to the URA for consideration for $1 each, contingent upon the mayor and director of the Department of Finance first entering into a corporation agreement with the URA setting forth the rights and obligations of the city and relating to these initial conveyances, and further setting forth the rights and obligation of the city and the URA related to the subsequent disposition of these properties to third parties.
Need a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve with brief discussion so I can explain.
Discussion.
Thank you. I've got, this is, Darlene, this is only about the OMI building at like 26th and Penn.
Why
It
don't
doesn't say
they
it's
have it
26th
spelled
and
out?
Penn, but we've been holding it over and over because after I had a meeting with the administration, and they requested a briefing from the, opinion from the law department, it's been a very long time waiting. Councilman O'Connor had said that the next time he thought he was going to table it, but he's not here, so I'll just motion to hold for another 4 weeks. So
The
we can
second.
talk about that later.
Second.
Second.
All right, all those in
I
favor?
had my hand up before.
That's why I said it second real fast.
So, Ms. Harris.
Yeah. So are we going to put that in there where it just talks about that particular subject instead of, looks like it's the whole city?
It does look like it's the whole city. It's very curious that the title of the bill put forward doesn't actually name the location, but if you look at the text file, it is actually just for that one building.
It should be in here too.
It's a good point.
All those in favor signify for a 4 week, I think you said?
Yes.
4 week hold. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. We have, read the first two bills together, I guess?
Bill 1871, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for proposed land development located at 7502 Thomas Boulevard. Bill number 1872, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for the Commonwealth Building, 316 4th Avenue.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1873, resolution to rescind Resolution 648 of 2018 to authorize the city to execute and record a declaration of condominium along the housing authority of the city and the URA as declarants for the condominium to be known as the Pittsburgh Governmental Center, a condominium at the property located at 412 Boulevard of the Allies, and further authorizing the execution and filing as may be required of all related instruments or documents necessary to ensure compliance with the Pennsylvania Uniform Condominium Act, and further authorizing the city to participate in the unit owners organization to be organized in compliance with applicable law.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve with discussion.
Need a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Cross?
Thank you. You'll see an amendment in front of you for Bill 1873 that I'm offering up. Councilman O'Connor had wished some minor amendments to the bill. He's not able to be here today. I worked with Councilman O'Connor last night, Chief Gilman, and our Budget Director, Bill Urbanek, to revise the amendments. I'm putting them forward. They may, I think we're complete, but we may need a tweak or two by the time it gets to us on Tuesday. But I'll be certain to give you an update if we do need. But as for now, I think we're good with the amendments, and I offer up the amendment to Bill 1873.
Need a second on the amendment? Need a second on the amendment?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. It takes us to one no. Takes us to the bill as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those nay. Abstentions? One no, no abstentions. Thank you very much. Takes us to the next, this takes us to the next bill.
Bill 1875, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure and/or the director of the City of Planning on behalf of the city to enter into a corporation agreement with the URA in order for the city to receive $20,000 to support a beautification project of artist design and city-owned curb extensions on Broadway Avenue in the Beachview neighborhood as part of a greater streetscaping project occurring at this location.
Need a motion?
To approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
I want to congratulate Councilman Coghill on his work on this. We share Broadway, but he has the bulk of it. As he took Councilman Gross and I on a tour, I said, I can see it from here. But anyways, but I want to say that he's been really advocating and leading the charge for that area to get a lot of funding and a lot of help there. And I just want to thank, although I keep reminding them that Beachview Library is actually in my district. So,
Yeah. I want you up there more often.
Yeah.
You know, they really like you up there. in Beachview.
Yeah.
And this
I
is
want to congratulate you because you really have been leading a charge and being, you've
yeah,
been a real
thanks.
champion
Thanks.
for the.
Yeah,
for the
I really
residents.
feel like a real estate agent for the
Yeah, you really
Broadway
have.
Avenue section
You've done
at least.
a great job, and I just want
Yeah,
to
and this is really just a small version of some streetscape that's going on there. A lot of state money, a lot of different monies involved, some city, but
Yeah, and Senator Fontana has, it was,
Yeah,
and the administration, all of you working
right.
together. really
Doesn't
did a
come
great
without
job.
controversy though. You paint a couple of lines on a street, and then people have
Yes, oh, I know.
questions and issues and things that will arise.
You're
But
telling
it's
me-
all good. It's all good stuff going on there. And, thank you
Yeah.
for your.
I honestly think that we try to do so much in terms of engaging the public when it comes to the streets and the walkways and all that. And honestly, I think at some point you've got to realize that engineers and directors and public safety should be paramount in these decision-making items, especially when it comes to streets and sidewalks. I don't know how much we should be engaging the public in things that are a matter of public safety, because you could have 200, 3,000 residents that are against something, but it might really need to be done. And so
right.
at some time,
You certainly
I
can't
think
please
we've gotta trust the
everybody,
people in
and
charge.
you're right. I agree with you, and we got to the point. I mean, we had a lot of objections to what's going on up there. It's progress that community hasn't seen for 20 or 30 years.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually thrilled about it. I'm not thrilled about all the changes. There's things that I kind of oppose, but in the end, I defer to, like you said, Councilwoman Kale-Smith,
Right. The experts.
the engineers and the professionals, and I'm counting on it all to function correct and move
Right.
traffic through there safely and in a timely
Yeah,
manner.
I
So
think
we'll
it's-
see how that all goes. But
I think
yeah,
it's their job to take some input, but then do what
Absolutely.
they can.
Right.
with Safety being paramount,
Yep.
that's all.
Let's clerk to read the next four bills together, please.
Bill
Wait,
1876.
can I register an I vote for the remaining bills because I have to go to another meeting?
Thank you very
noted.
much. So noted.
Thank you.
Bill 1876, resolution authorizing a 2019-2020 corporation agreement with the URA providing for the designation of the local matching share for a grant applied to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Keystone Community Program for the Small Landlord Program. Bill number 1879, resolution authorizing the URA to submit an application for financial assistance for the small landlord program in an amount of $250,000 to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for the operation and administration of certain programs and projects in FY 2019-2020. Bill number 1877, resolution authorizing a 2019-2020 corporation agreement with the URA, providing for the designation of the local matching share for a grant applied to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Keystone Communities Program for a housing accessibility program. Bill number 1878, resolution authorizing the URA to submit an application for a housing accessibility program in the amount of $250,000 to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for the operation and administration of certain programs and projects in FY 2019-2020. Council District All.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve?
Need a second?
Discussion?
Second?
Brief discussion?
Brief discussion?
I just want to say how excited I am to see these moving forward. If those of us who were here for the discussion of how to structure the Housing Opportunity Trust funds, and after the Affordable Housing Task Force recommendations, I so often mentioned that in my district, and as I've also detailed with Lawrenceville, the affordable apartments we've lost, we're in kind of closely held small holdings, right? So it actually what looks like a single family home, but there's 3 or 4 affordable apartments in there. Some people refer to it as naturally occurring affordable housing. And that I think this is important for us to support because, again, unlike other cities in Pittsburgh, probably that house is 100 years old. And as soon as there's a capital expenditure, like a bad roof, like there always is, or a bad sewer, that family holding has an incentive to sell to the market, and then we've lost 3 affordable apartments. So I'm really enthusiastic that the administration has been able to move this forward, so congratulations with everyone, and I'm eager to see how it turns out. And I think it's a great way for us to kind of keep these small holdings, apartments, and the affordable apartments, and to support kind of family equity and keeping the ownership of these buildings is my hope for the program. So thank you.
All right, all those in favor? Mrs. Harris, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Who's here? Good afternoon.
Welcome.
You should probably have it by now. It says all council districts, and I was wondering what parts of my district on all of them.
Yes. Hi, my name is Jessica Smith-Perry. I'm the director of the Housing Opportunity Fund at the URA. And these are citywide programs, so they're done by application. The Housing Accessibility Program is a program the URA has been operating for a little less than a year with some funding that they had received from a previous round of the state application, and they have closed 15 across the city and have another 25 that's currently being bid, and they are split. All 9 council districts have had units anywhere between 3 to 4 units per council district up to, I think, District 3 had 10 that had participated in it.
Can you let me know where?
Yeah, I can pull address.
Not for all the council districts.
But
just
yeah, I can get you a map showing you
Thank you.
where we've done.
And that's on all 4.
Okay.
Okay.
The small landlord fund is, we haven't closed any yet. It's a brand new program. So this would be the first time that program is operational.
And how is that going to work?
So it is a program for landlords that have 1 to 4 units. So the Housing Opportunity Fund has a larger rental development program for 5 units or more. So this is for 1 to 4 units. If somebody needs to repair the units, they can get a low interest loan from the URA in exchange for agreeing to rent it affordably for the term of the loan.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1880, resolution
They're in a
authorizing the
hurry.
URA to acquire all the city's right, title, and interest, if any,
Every
into the
meeting.
publicly owned properties in the 15th ward of the city, designated in the deed registry office 126 and 130 Hazelwood Avenue.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Last bill, please.
Bill 1881, resolution approving an execution of a contract for disposition by seller land by and between the URA and Northside Properties, 1016 Morris Avenue, 903, 929, 949 Lysol Street, 921 California Avenue, and Brighton, please.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Dan?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That hath belief has exhausted our calendar. Agenda for today, next Tuesday, July 30th. Council will meet at 9:30 a.m. for pre-agenda interviews for appointees to the Civil Service Commission and the Ethics Hearing Board here in Council Chamber. Council's regular meeting will immediately follow. As a reminder, Council's recess will begin next Wednesday, July 31st, and will continue through Friday, August 23rd. Council's regular meeting schedule will resume on Tuesday, August 27th, and Wednesday, August 28th, with the regular and standing committee meetings both scheduled to begin at 10 o'clock. Any other comments? I would simply echo, I want to say two things. One subject, a couple of things. I believe that the memorial service for Officer Calvin Hall was excellent, exemplary, a life well lived. I think that the clerk's office and council president did an extremely good job of navigating our participation in that service, and we want to thank public safety and the mayor's office and everyone for a job well done in this trying time. As I've said over and over again, we do not pay our officers enough because the value of their life is, you cannot pay them, and so enough. And so I support always higher wages for our police officers, and really commend them for their effort. And to the whole family, you're still in our prayers, and we are here to support you. I have lived long enough to experience tragedies and issues in my own life, and I have learned that God is still in control. Ms. Harris.
Yeah, since you talked about their salaries a little bit, I just want to say at one time our police officers have been paid more than any other police officers in the county, and now they're the lowest paid officers of any other county. And the work that they do in this city is very risky to their life, their family, and I just don't think it's fair what they're paid right now. And if anybody goes to the pension meetings, or which I don't think everybody does, that should, you'll see how fast we're losing officers as soon as they end up going through training. We lose them to the suburbs. And we have the best trained police officers going. And everybody wants them. And all the municipalities are paying so much more than we are. But we're paying for the training, so don't it make sense to pay them what they're worth?
You're spot on with that, honestly. I mean, you know, we're $10,000 to train an officer per officer. If they decide to leave for Bethel Park or Cannonsburg or whatever borough, they should be made to pay that back to us. We're training them basically on their dime.
They can't, because we use other monies too.
What's that?
We use other monies too, so you can't ask that, but I'm saying the best thing you could do is go back to making our officers the best paid, and I understand.
I agree. And we
their
can at least get a
contract's
commitment
up
out of them
now,
of
and I
5
think
years
they're
at
playing
least,
tug of war.
so they don't come through training and 2 months later are drafted. That's what they're drafted, actually, you know. So, and they look, I know the police chiefs outside the city. I'm very close communications with them.
Right.
They look, they joke about it and saying, yeah, I'm getting another one from you guys next week. And I'm like, oh, great.
The sheriff's office is full of our officers.
I agree, they need to be paid better.
Allegheny County, all of the suburbs, and all the money that the taxpayers are putting out if we paid our officers a fair wage, then we would be keeping them and they wouldn't be bouncing off to all these municipalities. So it's just a word to the wise.
Thank you very much. I need a motion to excuse the absent member, approve the minutes, and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers, nay. We are adjourned.